Everything that you need to know about new construction here in St. George, Utah, what the builders won't tell you. Now let's start with that price, that teaser price that you see.
What?
So what is that? Maybe, you know?
It's an approximation. it is an aspirational price, I guess. So yes, you'll see a price advertised and it sounds amazing, right? But that's before a lot of, like the upgrades take place, because maybe you might want more like, some tile flooring or some special treatments. You might want some entertainment package with some hookups for like flat screen TV. So you might have all these little options, maybe built-in speakers. Obviously the landscape can be a whole other set of options. Premium lots as well, these lots can be very, very in size, location, like farther off from let's say the road, or they might have views. So all these things come at a price, right? So that's where what you see as far as that advertised price as opposed to what you'll pay when you actually sign your name on the dotted line might be very, very different.
And then piggybacking off that, let's say you decide to buy a house, but it's going to take a while to build. And then, because of this strange world that we live in, the cost might just shoot up. So what happens, if the price of materials goes up, the price of labor goes up while your home is being built?
Yeah, so if you're actually looking at the fine print, there is a buffer that builders build in, right? So obviously material and labor costs will fluctuate. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. It's nothing stagnant, especially in this world that we're in. So they have a certain buffer in place. However, if material and labor exceed that buffer, that is a cost that you're going to have to incur. So you have to be aware that there could be, because of these supply chain issues, not even supply chain issues, we're just dealing with an inflationary environment. So we're just dealing with things where it could be a situation where you might be having to deal with a little bit more extra to take care of the cost of these more expensive goods and services. So before we continue, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Sean Dazad.
And I'm Courtney Dazad.
And I'm a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Utah. And if you're watching this channel, you might be thinking, wow, Sean, I love St. George. I love the perpetual blue skies. I love the red mountain. I love the red rocks. I love Zion. I love everything about it. I can't wait to move out here. Now, the problem is I'm not local and maybe even out of state, so I don't know what to do. And I totally get that. That's when you reach out to us so we can have that conversation, find out specifically what you're looking for, because we work with a team that has over 40 years of experience here in St. George itself. So we know all the little nooks and crannies of all the little pockets that would really fit your needs. So what you want to do is you want to give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country. And then this is probably a good place to add in the little, caveat about a pool. Here in St. George, if you're going to be here in the summer, I know some snowbirds, they leave in the summer. I mean, I get that. But if you're going to be here in the summer, a pool is almost a necessity, but it never comes, right? The pool never comes as part of your, initial price, right?
Yeah, so we'll look at it two ways, right? So one is that, okay, do you want the house itself to have a pool, or are you fine with the development, right? Whatever that subdivision is being developed, it will it has a good possibility of having a pool. So obviously we'll be looking through those situations. Okay, does the development have a pool, or is this really something you don't want to invest in your home? Again, a lot of people do want to have a pool in their home. Now, as this property is being built, or when you're about to build the property, the thing is, if you're being in a subdivision and it's a whole development's being built, right? So if you're gonna have, so the builder will actually give you a few different pool contractors to say, okay, I wanna do this. Because builders they don't add the pool in. That's not an upgrade that they tend to do. So what they'll do is they'll say, okay, here's some pool contractors you can call from. You can kind of work on that part. Now, even though you're paying the pool contractor to put in the pool, you'll probably have to pay the builder $5,000 plus in surcharges to basically oversee this operation happening, because obviously they're working with the pool contractor to make sure that whenever they're going in, they're not interrupting each other's schedules and time frames, because they don't want to get slowed up on their end. They might be tapping into the water main, or they might be tapping into the electrical stuff. So all this stuff is happening. So the builder is going to charge you a surcharge for this to be taking place simultaneously. And
then just to give a quick overview of what type of new construction is offered here in St. George.
Well, it's actually, it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere in St. George. Now, you actually have different types of new construction, right? So you have what they call spec homes, where you have a specific lot, it's already in an existing neighborhood, and you're developing it with your own builder or whatever that might be. Obviously, in other ways, obviously you have just developments being taking place, and they're kind of scattered throughout the whole area. So it's not just one pocket of St. George or the greater St. George area that's doing it. There's actually a lot of it that's happening scattered throughout. So that's kind of giving you a sense. And also, as far as the type of homes, you have condos, you have townhomes, you have single-family residences, of course, that are detached and everything. And also, you do have homes. You have also nightly rentals. So some places in St. George are actually zoned for nightly rental, and some of this new construction is actually taking place in those pockets that actually do have that do have nightly rentals.
And then now, do you want to talk about the builders? Because
Sure.
if there's a big, usually the bigger communities, they have many different type of builders in there, and obviously some builders are better than others, right? just like anything.
Yeah. So and so that's what there's a whole variation of that. So obviously, our team is very familiar with these various builders over time, so we can kind of point you to what builders tend to have better quality construction, have less screw-ups, stick. They fall behind these schedules. You need to know that, right? So that's where we can kind of point you to that right direction to kind of go, okay, well, just so you know, this builder, this might be the great location, might be the awesome price, but be aware of this, that, or the other. We don't want to name any names because this stuff does change too, but we obviously are keeping really close dibs on what's going on in the whole new construction landscape. Speaking of builders and everything like that, so when you do walk into these new developments, you may walk into a sales office to kind of get a feel of what the home looks like as far as the layout walking through them, or how the development phase is kind of going along, like what is it going to be, right? And so they have their sales reps. Now realize that those sales reps work for the builder. They're not really working for you. So whether you want to work, whether you're working with us or with someone else, you really want to have representation. You want to have an
And then that probably leads to why inspections are important.
Yes.
So do you want to talk about that? Because you think, oh, it's a new construction. You don't need an inspection. Everything's perfect, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is about new construction is that you think, okay, the property's done. Okay, I signed the dotted line, everything's perfect. Even with cars, you get cars that have, you have to kind of give it back to, you have to have the manufacturer make some adjustments or whatever. So there are different time frames that we're trying to keep these builders in check for, right? So one, there are these milestones. So one is making sure that, okay, so there's like, let's say the pre-drywall phase, like, walkthrough. There's a pre-flooring installation phase, and then there's the final walkthrough. And even with all that, we're still like checking out the homes. In fact, our partners, Dustin and Sue, they actually drive out to these properties and make sure that, let's say, the outlets are where they're supposed to be, or all these things, all these changes can happen pretty easily before the drywall's put in. So we're making sure that that's happening, and we're sending you pictures of the development of the property as it's coming along. And also, for instance, a builder will say, oh yeah, we're on the next phase of this development or whatever. Well, we make sure that they're actually on it. We actually drive out to the property, making sure that, yes, they said that's what the phase they were on. Let's kind of confirm that with, actually going out there and making sure, because at the end of the day, that's what we would want to have for us, is to make sure if we're buying a new property, that's especially not in an area that we're at currently, we want to make sure that it's progressing along. It's got the upgrades or the change orders that were done as they were promised. And also, most importantly, is that they're sticking to the timeline. So, and if that timeline is changing, we need to know that as soon as possible so you can make your adjustments, because again, not everything happens exactly on time, but at least we want to know as soon as possible, okay, how's that timeline change and how quickly can we either correct it, or if that timeline is changing, we can't pull it, make it back into that normal time frame. Well, you're aware of it as soon as possible so you can, again, make adjustments on your end.
And another thing you should know is that Sean and our team, we are all, or I should say they, because I do not participate, but I do all the marketing. But they are aware of all the incentives that builders are offering, right? Because, If you don't know about the incentives, are the builders going to be like, hey, did you know about this? I mean, I don't know.
Or, and also at the same time, you know, you might have, like, let's say, disregarded one particular development going, wait a second, that builder's offering either some upgrade incentives, some price reduction incentives, or they're offering some financing incentives. So there's a lot of things that we're obviously, you know, tapped in on because this is what we do, that we're kind of going, okay, well, did you consider this particular development because there's some really intriguing incentives that are taking place right there.
And then because, you know, new construction's fun, and the really fun stuff to look at is the really high end. I know that, you know, not everybody can afford that, but we do have a lot of tours on this channel of really high little ode to HGTV, right? Everyone likes to look at the high-end stuff. So here's some high-end stuff for you to look at right now.
And remember, I am a licensed realtor here in the state of Utah. So as much as we love making these videos, what we love more is to help you with your real estate needs. So whether you're looking to buy or sell a home, what you want to do is when you give us a call or shoot us a text.
Yes, that number is a cell phone, so you can call us or text us, or you can use WhatsApp if you're outside the country.